All right, let's talk about what might just be the Mount Everest of literature, James Joyce's Finnegans Wake. This is a book that's famous, or maybe infamous, for being almost impossible to read. But today, we're going to deconstruct it. We're going to figure out how it works and what makes it so wild.
So, just to let you know, this is a summary of episode 40 from our podcast, Reading Finnegans Wake in 200 Sessions. It's a show where we do exactly what it sounds like we do.
We break down this incredible book 3 pages at a time. And hey, if you find this explainer useful, it would be awesome if you could hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe drop a comment. It really helps us out. Okay, let's get into the Wake.
So, Finnegans Wake, it has this legendary reputation, right? It's known far and wide as one of the most baffling books ever put to paper in English. And the minute you open it, you immediately see why.
You read a sentence like this, and what do you even do with that? It doesn't feel like you're reading English anymore. It feels like you're trying to crack some kind of bizarre secret code. It's just this dense mashup of puns, history, and words from like a dozen different languages. It feels totally impenetrable.
Which leads us to the big question, how in the world do you even begin to read something like this? Well, the best way to think about it is like you're a detective. You're not just reading, you're investigating. You've got to look for clues, follow the breadcrumbs, and see where all the strange connections lead.
Okay, so let's dive in and I'll show you what I mean. We're going to do a kind of forensic analysis. We're not going to start with a whole chapter or even a whole sentence. Nope. We're going to break down just one single word.
Here's our word, Brigstall. At first glance, it looks weird. Maybe it's a typo, or some ancient word nobody uses anymore. But here's the thing with Joyce. Nothing is an accident. This word is a carefully constructed little linguistic bomb, just waiting to go off.
So, let's look at the first layer. Brigstall is actually an old name for the city of Bristol in England. And why does that matter? Well, way back in 1172, the English king Henry II basically gifted the city of Dublin to the people of Bristol. So boom, right away this one word pulls in centuries of colonial history between England and Ireland.
But wait, there's more. Look inside the word itself. You can see brig, which is slang for a military jail. And you can almost hear the word borstal, which is a type of juvenile prison. So now, that theme of history is tangled up with ideas of crime, of being locked up, of punishment.
And just when you think you're done, there's a third layer. And this one is all about sound. The way Brigstall sounds, it kind of echoes the phrase sent to Coventry. And what does that mean? To be shunned, ignored, exiled. So now we've got history, punishment, and social exile all packed into this one strange word.
So, what's the takeaway here? It's that in Finnegans Wake, a word is never just one thing. It's a dense little knot of ideas. The point isn't to pick the right meaning, but to see how they all exist together, at the same time, creating this unbelievably rich texture. Now, Joyce takes this exact same layering technique and uses it to build his characters. The main guy in this book is, famously, a walking contradiction. He's a total identity crisis in human form. I mean, just look at this split. On the one hand, he's described with all these words for royalty. Ardry is Irish for a high king, Rex Regulorum is Latin for king of princes, but in the very same breath, he's linked to villains and outcasts. Crookback is a nickname for the evil King Richard III, and Billy and the Bull was a real-life legless beggar and murderer from Dublin's past. So he's both a noble king and a lowly criminal, all at once.
And it doesn't stop there. He is absolutely buried in an avalanche of other names and animal identities. He's a haycock, he's a bull, he's an ostrich, he's a skunk. The whole point is to make it impossible to pin him down as just one person. He is everybody. He is everything.
Okay, so this layering thing works for words, it works for people, and you guessed it, it also works for the place. The city of Dublin isn't just a backdrop in this book. It's built brick by brick out of wordplay, history, and linguistic games. For example, Joyce will take the real Irish name for Dublin, Bale Atha Clia, and he'll twist the sound of it into something like Balaclava, which also happens to sound a bit like the Battle of Balaclava, so you get Dublin and the Crimean War smashed together.
Then he goes full-on historian on us. He pulls out Eblana, which is the name for Dublin that was found on an ancient map made by Ptolemy way back in the 2nd century.
And this is one of my favorites. He embeds the city's own origin story right into the text. The name Dublin itself comes from the Irish phrase Dublin, which means black pool, and that phrase just pops up right there on the page.
And get this, he even plays with local folklore and things that aren't even technically true. Glasnevin is a really famous cemetery in Dublin, and people there mistakenly believe the name means pleasant little field. It doesn't, but that doesn't matter to Joyce. He weaves that mistake into his word map of the city.
So let's take a breath. What is happening here? It's a chaos of shifting words, multiple identities, places that are also other places. It seems to defy all logic. And you know what? That's kind of the point. To get Finnegans Wake, you have to stop trying to read it like a normal novel.
Here's the secret key, the one thing you need to remember. Think of it as a dream. Think about how dreams work, right? In a dream, a person can be your best friend and also your enemy. A place can be your childhood home and also a spaceship. Contradictions don't matter. They just exist side by side. That's the logic of the wake.
And this gives us a kind of reader's toolkit. When you're reading this book, you're not looking for a single answer. You need to listen for the sound of the words. You need to look for those echoes of history and myth. You trace the patterns as they pop up again and again. And most important of all, you have to embrace contradiction. You have to be okay with things being 2, 3, or 10 things all at once.
Ultimately, Finnegans Wake was designed to be an experience, not a puzzle that you solve. The whole point is the investigation, the act of digging through the layers, of following the crazy web of connections. That's the meaning. Joyce was trying to build a book that works the same way our own minds, our own dreams actually work, through association, memory, and beautiful, beautiful chaos.
Which leaves us with one last, kind of mind-bending question. We've just seen how a book can be built on the logic of a dream, but what about the language we all use every single day? Is it really that different? If a book can be a dream, could it be that our own language is one too?